Hi students, today we're gonna talk about algebra. So we will start with the very basic and gradually we will proceed to a more advanced topic through videos. So first of all, I want you to remember what we mentioned during the class about algebra and what is the difference between algebra and the very elementary math that we learned before. So let's say previously in elementary school, we were dealing with numbers. Let's say 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, right? So 2 and 3, they have, or numbers, they have a constant value. Their value never changes. That's why, in other words, they are called constants, as opposed to variables. Variables in algebra are actually letters. Letters are called variables. They are called variables because their value keeps on changing. Okay, so let me give you an example. X, Y, and Z, these are three different variables. Okay, so as I just mentioned, algebra is actually a branch of mathematics that deals with symbols and the arithmetic operation between these symbols. What I mean by arithmetic operation, I mean like the simple ones, like addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. So let's say in our real life problems, we have, there are certain values that keep on changing, right? And we want to be able to show them and to manipulate them. That's why we use variables. Variables, or in other words, unknowns, or the letters. The letters, whether from the English alphabet or from the Greek alphabet, it doesn't make any difference. They are called variables. Okay, there are a few other terms we have to learn before we can jump into, doing arithmetic in algebra. Let's define some of these terms. So let's say 3x plus 4. Okay, so the 4, which doesn't have any variable with itself, it's called a constant. Yeah, it's a fixed value. But here we have a letter, which is called a variable. And then we have a number or a constant in front of the variable. This number, it's called a coefficient. Okay, and then here we have an exponent or power. Right? And then the whole thing together, it's called an expression. Okay, expression. And any of these little units, it's called a term. So here in this expression, we have two terms which are added together. So the operation here is addition. Okay, now let's continue doing operations in algebra. So we have two types of operation. We have addition, which is exactly the opposite of subtraction, and we have multiplication and division. Okay, in order to do addition or subtraction, we have to introduce another terminology, which is like terms. I don't know how many of you have heard this before, but like terms are two terms which have the same variable and the same power. Okay? But the number in front of them, or in other words, the coefficient in front of them, can be different. Okay? So here, these two are like terms because not only the variable but the power is exactly the same. The only difference is the number in front of them, which is the coefficient. If that's the case, then we can add them together. And if you want to add them together, okay, so we write down the common part, which is x to the power 3, and we add the coefficients. So in this case would be 8. Okay, so if you want to do addition or subtraction, the first thing you have to do is to identify the like terms. When you identify the like terms, then you can add or subtract the coefficient. Let's do a few more examples. Let's say here I will do 4t squared minus 2t squared. Okay, so here we have two terms. 1, 2. What is the operation in between? It's subtraction. All right, so what is the variable? Letter t, and it's raised to the power 2. So in both cases, we have letter t raised to the power 2. So in this case, we can subtract the two coefficients. So the answer is 2 multiplied by t squared. This is how you can do addition and subtraction. All right, now let's do some examples. Okay, first example, here we have an expression, right? We have an expression consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different terms. So we have an expression consisting of 5 different terms, and what are the variables? We have x, t, right? There are no more variables. Now the next step, because here we are doing addition, we have to find the like terms. Let me remind you, like terms are when the letter, not only the letter, but also the power is the same. So here 5x and 2x, they are like terms, right? Because both of them have got letter x and it's raised to the power 1. Here we have 3t and 9t. They are like terms. We have another term here, which is 6, which is a constant, and it's by its own. We cannot do anything to that. So here, let's do the answer. So 5x plus 2x, make it 7x. 3 times t, 9 times t, it's 12t plus 6. This is the answer. Okay, some of you might ask, can I, change the order? Instead of writing 7x plus 12x plus 6, some of you might prefer to write 12t plus 6 plus 7x. That's okay. There is no issue with that. You can just, change the order of how you're writing it. Now let's do another example, but this time we want to do some subtraction as well. Okay, this is another example. This is an expression. Okay, first of all, let's count how many terms we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 different terms. And what are the variables here? T, right? And t squared. T and t squared are two different variables. One of them is apple, the other one is orange, right? I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but remember, these two are totally different. So here, let's identify what are the like terms. 6t squared and minus 3t squared. because not only the letter, but the power is the same. Now 12t and minus t, and then the third one would be a constant, but on its own. So the final answer would be 3t squared, and then I have 12 minus t, which is 11t, and then minus 6. Okay, this is another example. Now that we discussed about addition and subtraction and we did a couple of examples, let's talk about multiplication and division. These two are different from the top ones because here you don't need to identify the like terms. Okay, there is no need. So let's see how we can do multiplication. Let's say I have 2x, which is one term, multiplied by another term, which is a constant. Here, what you need to do, like you are just simply multiplying the constant together and then the letter. So 8x. Or let's see, 2x multiplied by 3 times t. So here the constant together 6, and then you have x, then you have t. Let's do another one. 4 times t times -1 times -3t. So here again you have three constants multiplied by one another. So the answer would be 12. Then you have t multiplied by another t, right? So t multiplied by t. So you know that this will be 12t squared. Okay, let me do another one. 4xyz multiplied by 3 over 2xyt. So here, the constants multiplied by one another would be 12 over 2, which is 6. Then I have x multiplied by x squared, y multiplied by y squared, and then t on its own. So this is the final answer. Okay, now let's continue with more examples. But before we proceed, I want to introduce another term. Let's say you might come across polynomial. So what does it mean? Like poly means more than two, more than three, like a few, right? So remember like a term, like an expression, let's say 2x plus 7x squared minus 6. This is an expression. And how many terms? There are three terms, or you could call it polynomial. Or in other words, because it's three, you could call it trinomial, right? So any expression in algebra is kind of a polynomial. So let's do another example. So here we want to multiply this trinomial by another, let's say 7x, which monomial, right? So here, what we have to do, we have to distribute 7x and we have to multiply this by each of these terms. There are three different terms here. So what we will do, so the first one would be 7x multiplied by 2x, which would be 7 times 2, 14, and then x multiplied by x is x squared. So this is the first part. The second part would be, again, 7x multiplied by 7x squared. Here, the constant will be multiplied by one another, which will be 49. And then here I have x multiply x squared. So in other words, x squared is x multiplied by x, right? So here we have x, x, that would be x multiplied by itself 3 times, right? And then the last term would be 7x multiplied by -6, which the answer would be -42x. Okay, so the final answer, if I want to do the final answer would be 49x 3 plus 14x2 minus 42x. This is the final answer. So the final answer is a polynomial, or to be more exact, because there are three terms, it's a trinomial. Okay, now let's do another more advanced one. So let's say here we would have, I hope this video helps you to find the basic understanding of algebra. If you need to learn more, please refer to the other videos on this channel. Thank you.